Hi everyone. So today I am sitting in the nursery down in our RE space, and I'm excited to read you a book today. So I'm going to read Milo Imagines the World. It's written by Matt de la Pena and it's illustrated by Christian Robinson. And this author and illustrator also wrote and drew the pictures of The Last Stop on Market Street. And they make amazing books together. So I hope that you enjoy it. And we're going to get started. And then we'll talk a little bit about it at the end. I think it's a really important book. So I hope you enjoy it. Here's the first page. Milo Imagines the World. And that's Milo and his sister going down into the subway. What begins as a slow, distant glow grows and grows into a tired train that clatters down the tracks. A cool rush of wind quiets into a screech of steel. And when the doors slide open, Milo slips aboard. The train bucks back into motion as he and his sister squeeze onto bench seats. The whiskered man beside Milo has a face of concentration. A businessman has a blank, lonely face. The wedding-dressed woman near the far door has a face made out of light, while the dog peeking out of her handbag has no face at all, just a long, lolling tongue. These monthly Sunday subway rides are never-ending, and as usual, Milo is a shook-up soda. Excitement stacked on top of worry, on top of confusion, on top of love. To keep himself from bursting, he studies the faces around him and makes pictures of their lives. At a downtown local stop, the whiskered man folds up his crossword and hurries off the train. Milo imagines him trudging through brown mounds of slush. It's a 5-flight climb to his cluttered apartment, where he's greeted by mewling cats and burrowing rats. Parakeets tweet songs of longing as the man sips tepid soup hunched over a game of solitaire. Late that night, the door to the parakeet cage mysteriously falls open, and the cats gather on the cold sill to watch the birds fly free above the city. Milo tugs his sister's sleeve and holds up his picture, but even when she turns to look, he can tell she doesn't see. She's a shook-up soda, too. A boy in a suit boards the train with his dad. His hair is a perfect part, and there's not a single scuff on his bright white Nikes. So this is the drawing that Milo does about that boy. Milo imagines the clop, clop, clop of the horse-drawn carriage that will carry him to his castle. Imagines the clink, clink, clink of the guard slowly lowering the drawbridge. Across the human-made moat, the boy is met by a butler, 2 maids, and a gourmet chef offering crust-free sandwich squares. Milo flips to a fresh page at a bustling midtown stop. When the wedding-dressed woman strides off the train, a band of street performers launches into "Here Comes the Bride," and everyone on the platform stops and cheers. Milo imagines the grand cathedral ceremony where the couple will be pronounced husband and wife. Imagines the groom whisking his new bride to an awaiting hot air balloon, where the pilot loads them in with blankets and blasts the heat, and up, up they go, hand in hand, beyond the concrete walls of the city, into the infinite blue. Milo holds up this picture, too. But his sister shoos him away. "Can't you see I'm playing my game?" He watches her, thumbs banging around her smudged screen, then turns back to the boy in the suit. They lock eyes for a few long seconds, and suddenly it feels like the walls are closing in around Milo. The spell is broken when a crew of breakers bounds onto the train, announcing, "You all ready for a show?" Several curious faces look up as the beat drops, and now the girls are walking up walls. They're whirling around poles. They're backflipping over shopping bags. When the train pulls into the next stop, they collect a few dollars and scramble for another car. Milo imagines them going from train to train, doing their act as everyone watches. But even after the performances are over, faces still follow their every move. When they walk down the electronics aisle at the department store, when they cross into the fancy neighborhood. Milo doesn't really like this picture, so he puts away his pad and turns to his reflection in the window. What do people imagine about his face? Can they see him reciting his volcano poem to the class? Can they hear his mom's soothing voice reading him a bedtime book over the phone? Can they smell the chilly Colorado bubbling in a pot in his auntie's apartment near the cemetery? Butterflies flood Milo's stomach when it's finally their stop. He follows his sister onto the cold station platform and up the stairs. Above ground, he's surprised to see the boy in the suit a few paces ahead. He's even more surprised when the boy joins the long line to pass through the metal detector. Milo's sister suddenly bends to give him a hug. "I didn't mean to snap at you," she says. She takes his hand, adding, "You have your picture ready?" He nods, feeling the warmth of her fingers. As they slowly shuffle forward, Milo studies the boy in the suit, his dad rubbing his thin shoulders, and a thought occurs to him. Maybe you can't really know anyone just by looking at their face. Milo tries to reimagine the pictures he made on the train. Maybe he could have done it like this instead. That's the man with the newspaper, and instead of going home to rats and cats, he could have been coming home to this. Or this. The woman in the bride's gown could be going to marry this woman. Or this. Welcome home. So these breakdancers could live in this big fancy apartment building. Milo's chest fills with excitement when he spots his mom through the crowd. His sister rushes to give her a hug before pulling Milo in too. And it's in that tight tangle of familiar arms that he feels most alive. And you can see here's the boy in the suit. He's also visiting his mom. He wasn't going to a fancy castle. When they separate, Milo flips through his pad until he finds the right picture. "I made this for you," he says, holding it up, and he watches for the smile he hopes will spread across his mom's face. And here's the picture he drew for his mom. They're all together, sitting on their front steps. And that is our story. Milo Imagines the World. So, the important parts of this book to me are, one, that Milo plays that game where he imagines all the different possibilities behind somebody's face, because there really are countless possibilities of who a person might be and where they might be going and where they might live. And it's a fun game to play with yourself. And it's so important. The second piece that's so important is when he realizes maybe his assumptions and his imaginings about people aren't actually true. And it's really impossible to ever know anything about somebody just by looking at them, right? So, what I want you to think about is how it feels when somebody really wants to know more about you and they don't just look at you and see a little kid and kind of turn away, but they actually bend down and talk to you and start asking you questions so that they can find out more about you. And I want you to close your eyes and think about a time when that's happened, when an adult has come or another kid has really stopped and said, "Hey, what do you like about school? And what is your favorite thing to do? And what books have you read recently?" And they start asking you those questions to get to know you a little bit better. Close your eyes and feel how that feels in your body. To have somebody be really curious about you. For me, it makes me feel all shiny, like I have this extra shine coming out of me because I know that somebody cares about me. And so that's what I encourage all of us to remember, that everybody has a story. And it's up to us to be curious about finding out that person's story by asking them questions and not just assuming that, oh, they're a different age than me, so we don't have anything in common and I don't really need to listen to them. Or, oh, they look different than me, so we just must be really different people and I'm not going to get along with them, so I'm not even going to try. Because we know that there's some amazing people in this world, and the more that we can get curious about each other, the more that we can grow, and the more that we can share, and the more that we can become better people in the world. So I invite you to go find somebody and ask them some questions. Maybe someone in your class that you haven't talked to very much. Maybe a relative that you haven't seen in a long time. You could call them up on the phone. Maybe even your own parents or siblings. You could ask them about some of the special stories from their lives or what they really, really love in this world. So I can't wait to hear what you find out about the people in your lives. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening to the story with me. I behold you, beautiful one. I behold you, child of the earth and sun. Let my love wash over you. Let my love watch over you.